Okay, so look, um, I've had a revelation over the past few days. Um, I want to show you guys something, right? God revealed himself to me. And, now I just refer to God or also Jesus Christ, which is the Son of God, So he's part of God as well and part human, right? And so it's like I'm not going to be referring to God as the universal emperor or almighty. I can say almighty creator, but I'm not going to be it's going to be more specific in just God now. I really now consider myself to be a Christian. The Bible, I feel as though, is the only real, source of timeless information that literally describes our starting and ending. Starting, starting after Christ, right? Even before Christ, but the Bible really is our starting and ending to the entire, you know, all the all the events that have folded or and that will unfold on this earth, right? It really is a prophecy, right? And a prophecy that is the most accurate when you actually compare it to other religions, all this other new age stuff that came after the Bible, because people wanted to sell their own version of the Bible for profit, right? And it just causes more pain doing that. And I understand it, but it's not right. Okay, so it's like you have all this. You have Buddhism, you have Islam, you have, and all of these are just they're really just copy paste from the Bible, and they all mention stories from the Bible and how it relates to their own ideologies that slightly differ from everything that's in the Bible. But why do you think they reference the Bible so much? Because all of the religions have to reference the Bible because it is the original, and they can only coexist as a religion by referencing the original religion, right? And the one and only true religion, the one and only true God, one and only true Jesus Christ, Yeshua, Elohim. Like, bro, there is nothing other than this. But I know it's quite a divisive subject and topic to speak about, but that's truly my it's the opinion that I have. To the general populace, it's considered to be an opinion, what I'm stating, but to me, it's a fact, okay? Because I've had some encounters and experiences now, and really the most recent one happened a few days ago. So I was struggling to pay for, and I'll get into the topic of the video in just a second, but I was really struggling to pay for uh like a mobile phone contract, and I got a message from O2, and I'll have to pull it up. I'll turn my notifications off just in case anyone tries to call. But I got a message from O2. I'd taken this phone contract out maybe like because I got a new phone. I'd taken the phone contract out in like October of last year, right? So about 5 months ago now. And then from the November, they sent the first message to say, okay, the bill is due and it'll be £36, 19 pence that's due, right? And if you let that focus, you can see in November they sent that for £36, 19 pence. That's the first bill. And then in December, they sent a messages saying, problem with taking the direct debit. And then, they kept trying to bill it across December because it wasn't able to be taken in November. And then at some point in December, which literally is just the following month, they had okay, so in December they had put it up to £80 and six pence. So that's not if you times £36, 19 pence by two, what do you get? £72 and 38 pence. Like that's not the exact amount, but I guess there were an additional interest charges of around £8 roughly. So that's why it's £80 for the next month in December when it should be like around £72, 38 pence. So give or take, they added an additional £8 and tried to withdraw that in December. And they weren't able to withdraw that. I had issues paying this bill, even though I took this contract out. And Then they, continued to send me messages across December. Then leading into January, they said they disconnect the service, so wouldn't be able to use any, internet on the phone, and perhaps the phone would even be locked and that sort of thing. So because it's like not only do I owe not only do I owe the phone company money for the connection that they would give me, but just the device itself on top of that, which belongs to Apple because it was an iPhone. I'm owing Apple money for the device I'm not paying for, that's being promoted by O2, and on top of that, I'm owing money directly to O2 because I don't have, not paying for the network providing the connection for me to use. So they have to cut that off, and they got to cut access to the network and potentially also cut access to even being able to simply use the phone, even just to tell the time, and to be able to turn it on and, use it in the most basic sense, right? So in January, they continue to message after turning off or disconnecting the network supplies that they had, given me through the contract. They had then messaged to say, look, explain to me this. And people think God or the devil and hell and heaven isn't real. The spiritual world doesn't exist. We just live on a physical plane. I get it because of everything we see and what we feel and, oh, I'm cold, or, oh, I'm warm, I'm sweating today, like everything is just so, glitzy and glamorous and, or, so we feel as though we only live in the physical sense. But, explain to me how this doesn't have anything to do with spirituality. If in December, from November, I was charged £36 for my first, for the commencing month of my contract for that bill for that month. Every month it should be the same. It's the same amount, and with only a slight increase of maybe, £1 or a couple of pounds, £3 over the course of like the entire 24-month scope of the contract. So at the end, it would be looking more like I'd be paying £40 per month towards the end of the 2-year contract, right? And still, that's only £40 a month. It's only like a £4 difference, right? But look at this difference. Now, so if we scale it back, November was the first month they tried to charge me £36. December, they tried to charge me £80, which is an additional £8 in interest, for the previous month not being collected on time, and then rolling over into the next month. Okay, fair enough. Now in January, guess how much they tried to charge me? You're probably thinking, £130 roughly? No, nothing like that. Look how much they tried to charge me in January of the new year after December. After trying to charge me £80 in December, they're now trying to charge me £496.74 in January. After only trying to charge me, if I can get it for you. Again, I think there's so many messages here, dude. After only trying to charge me £80, and this is what I'd shown you previously. £80 and 6 pence. How does it go from the 20th of December, £80 and 6 pence on a phone contract, which, £36 of that is the monthly fee, right? But it's £80 in total because it's the second month in which I haven't paid, which makes sense. But now in January, on the 14th of January, just about 3 weeks later or so, they're trying to charge me up to £500. So you mean to tell me the interest rate brought it up from what should have been roughly around £120 at quotation to quoting me up to £500? The interest, essentially the additional interest in this scenario within the space of 3 weeks is supposed to be like what, 380 quid? That is insane. It's an unprecedented, like amount, right? And it's like, how are you going to charge me this much? I'm like, that's pretty much the value of the entire contract, And you might justify this and say, oh, well, it's because they haven't collected payment for about 3 months. Yes, but that's not the amount in which would be due for them to collect over 3 months of not paying a phone contract when they have the entire 24 months to go, right? We're talking up until like bloody 2027 or 2028, let's keep it realistic here. And you cannot, how are you going to look at that and say that's not the work of the devil, trying to add additional stress into my life, and to get me to try and hurry up and make a rash decision in paying all of this, that I didn't owe in its entirety so that I could be submitting to his will, right? Think about that. And people don't think about these things. And and you know, God is good, and I'll show you why God is good and how He exists. Because I no longer have this bill, right? The bill has since been paid. Okay. So I had to live with this from the 14th of January up until, so Saturday, when was that? Saturday, up until pretty much the 28th of February. I think that was the Saturday that just passed. I had to live with this for a month and a half. A 500 pound bill weighing over my head like that. Like a, like a halo, but like a demonic halo, like I don't know, bro. Like some horns or something, I don't know. But yeah, I had this waving, like hovering above my head for a month and a half. And it wasn't even like close to the amount that I was supposed to owe during the air time that I had throughout this period of the contract. It had just begun, you know? How am I going to pay off this much? Like, this is the amount that's required over around about a year into the contract. We're talking 2 to 3 months within a contract here. And guess what? Brother, it's been paid. The whole £496, if you zoom in, yeah, there you go, it's focusing now. So it's £496.74. All of that got paid last Saturday. And I swear on my life, on my mother's life, my entire family's life, I didn't pay for this. And I could say it smug with a smile on my face. I didn't pay for this. I didn't have this money in my account, you know. It's in my name. It says my government. You just seen it. Hi, Evan Nielsen William. That's my real name if y'all want to know. So y'all, I've already leaked my name, right? So it is what it is. But yeah, that is me, bro. And it's like, this just confirmed it. And you know, this happened to me. I'll explain why I think this happened for me and why God paid this off. I didn't have the money in my account for this bill. I just needed a brand new phone. And I didn't know, you know, I didn't know how this was going to get paid. But it's literally a miracle. And now they're saying, you know, it's been successful. Please call us if you haven't made this payment. Please call us, whatever. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I didn't make this payment. But they can't prove that because it's been paid in my name. So if O2 as a company are watching this, it's like, hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Welcome to the Puzzle Piece and channel where we talk about theoretics and conspiracy theories and you know, and philosophical matters and spirituality and you know, real world events and scenarios. And you know, you're welcome to stay tuned and continue to watch all the other videos that I uploaded and will upload within the future. But you know, I certainly, in my own efforts, did not move or lay a finger towards my phone to make this payment. I didn't call around looking for loans or credit cards to help pay this off or for family members, nothing. I didn't even ask him to pay it for me. I didn't even ask God to pay this for me. Like, brothers and sisters, this is a miracle. And why did this happen to me? Because I'm deserving. It doesn't happen to people. God doesn't bless people in this way if they don't need it. And not only if they don't need it, but if they're not deserving of it. You know, so in the last few weeks, I'd gotten sober from like, you know, just smoking, being addicted to like nicotine and thinking that, you know, I wasn't high anymore because I didn't know what sober was for such a long time. It was like 4 months or something where I was just vaping, and you know, I was doing it for like a dietary aid and like you know, like just for lifestyle purposes, like in terms of losing weight and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, there's pros and cons to vaping, you know, like, but because I was losing a lot of weight with it, which was good, and it was helping me getting lean in the gym. But now I want to develop the discipline without the vape to just eat the right amount and not overeat, not undereat, because I've overate before. If you watch my previous videos, I used to be on the bulk era, right? Which is why my voice sounded so heavy, and it was difficult for me to speak during that time, you know. I was on some other stuff as well, but I'm not going to get too much into that. But, you know, I stopped vaping and I stopped drinking consistently. And, you know, I've been focused on my walk with God, and I'd gotten into a degenerate mindset over the past few weeks, and I'd stopped that. And it's like, ever since I'd stopped that, I feel more spiritual. It's like, you know, when you're sober, when you're not drinking alcohol consistently and smoking consistently or doing any type of drug consistently, even if you're having sex consistently, If you have sex too often, if you have any drug too often, coke, meth, whatever it is, bro, all of it's all a drug at the end of the day. Anything you do that's like physically detrimental to you and like spiritually detrimental to you, and you know what these things are. I'm not talking about working a job or doing a 9 to 5 or like running a business or like, you know, staying completely sober or exercising. Not those things. Doing those things consistently is good. That's what God wants you to do. God doesn't want you to be high, because anything that alters your brain chemistry from what it naturally would be with just you know, a good diet and good sleep and all, and you know, a good work ethic and all that, anything that you introduce to this will knock off everything, and it'll block the connection that you can have with God. And it's like I can hear God now. It's like God is literally like directing himself in my life, and it's like I can hear God because I'm letting him in. I'm not smoking him out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not drinking him away. When I stop that, it's like, whoa, oh my days. It's like I'm having conversations with God. He's telling me things about like the relationship that I've been in, and I don't know if it's going to end or not. That's something that he's going to get back to me with. I've been asking God more for help now directly, because God helped me with this and I didn't ask him for direct help. Now imagine if I ask him for direct help when I actually need it, and I'm being sincere about my needs, and also I've been following him and I'm worthy. He's going to help me out a lot more. So I just realized that I have to be more, I guess I would say I have to be more, you know, more concrete with what I'm asking, you know, more intentional with God, because I don't want to play around with him anymore. And I feel like for a long time I was just playing. For a long time I was like, oh, God's on my side, but I don't need to say anything. I don't need to do anything, right? I can just pray, you know, whenever I want, or I can just do things whenever I want, or live however I want, and he'll be there. And it's like, nah, that's not, you know, he'll be there, but he's not like directly having, you know, the impact to really help me get what I need, you know, because it's like, for as long as I continue to just try and go after what I want all the time, I'm never really going to get what I need going after what I want. So I understand that my needs are, we all understand that our needs are better for us, but we actually have to prioritize that, you know. And it's like, this is what I'm learning, you know. So I wanted to share this. And also, this is the longest I've went into the video without introducing the title, of the video. So what this video has been about, you know, is our spirit is manifested throughout the physical, you know. As I was saying previously, a lot of people think it's just the physical world, and it's like, yeah, sure, brother. You know, like, if good and evil exists in this world, we all understand the concept of good and evil, and it's real. Even an atheist will tell you there's good and evil in this world. Why? Because people get killed before their time, right? People get murdered, all this type of stuff, right? That's considered to be evil, right? But then people get healed from sickness. You know, people come back from like incurable diseases, like cancers and things like that. That's considered to be good, right? So if we understand that, you know, in this physical sense, there's good and evil within this world, it's like, but you have to think, what's driving the physicality behind the material evidence of what we have to be good and evil. Like, for example, someone losing their life, a young kid tragically losing his life before his time, you know, because a car was driving too fast on the road. Like, for example, that story that happened with Getz. I don't know if you know Getz is a UK rapper, and he ran over like a young Asian man. It's a tragic story. Rest in peace to him and his soul, you know. And I hope he made it to the heavenly gates, because it's a real thing and it exists, right? You don't want to go down these hellish gates that Getz might be going if he doesn't find some repentance, right, and really change his lifestyle. So that just goes to show you the dichotomy within life. And it's like, there is a physical and a spiritual. There is a good and an evil, right? Like, these things, this is all real, you know. And I've literally just shown you my testimony in real time. God is on the internet, by the way, as well. For people who think that, oh, the internet isn't real life, you know, or the internet is better than real life. And it's like, no, both of these things coexist with each other. None is better than the other. Like, God exists on the internet. Like, you think you can't find your wife or a relationship on the internet? Yes, you can, right? I don't know fully 100% if she's going to be my wife, right? Been having a lot of revelations recently that I'm going to have to get to the bottom of, right? But I can say that even, regardless of whether she is or not, she's helped me grow a lot. So even if we have to part ways now, it's okay. I found a lot of direction just by being with her, right? And getting down to the bottom of my character, right? Which she helped me to do. So that I can at least be grateful for, regardless of whether we maintain something long term or not. But, God is real. God is on the internet. He literally paid an internet bill for me that I had that I, from day one, didn't know how I was going to pay it. I just needed that. I needed that for what I needed for the phone to use the device, right? It's what I'm recording off of now. So I'm here to tell you, like, all of this stuff is real, man. Like, so as I said, you know, what goes behind the action? What goes behind someone taking action, right? Physically, it's all about what they feel spiritually. All we ever do in this life is what we feel. Because people who say, I don't feel like going to work today, but end up going to work, guess what? They felt enough to go to work. So you went to work, right? But obviously it's because of what? Because of what you might benefit from going to work, like receiving a steady income, right? And having a purpose and something that you might enjoy to do, or maybe just the income in and of itself to survive. But the point is that you might say you don't feel enough to go to work, but you can only prove that you don't feel enough to go to work if you don't actually go. Because if you end up getting out of the bed and going instead, even when you say that you don't feel like going, you felt enough to get up out the bed to leave your house and to end up at the institution that you said you didn't feel like being at. So what happened there then? It's not magic. You felt enough to go. Maybe you didn't feel as much as a previous day or as much as perhaps you used to when everything was more novel, right? Within the workplace, but you felt enough to go. So it's like, and it's like everything that happens in the physical, it's because of the spiritual, right? God put us here on the physical plane as a test, but he also revealed that, like there are reasons why things in the physical happen, and that he wants us to go throughout life, understanding that even though we live in a realm that, is physical to what we see, but to what we feel, it's actually spiritual. Because behind everything me making this video is extremely spiritual. Any video I've ever made on my channel has always been spiritual. Why? Because this energy that I have, I'm translating it into reality. It's like, so if you, all right, picture it like this. It's like, okay, look, so we have flesh in a human body. If I prick myself with like a knife or a nail or something, like that sharp object on the end, right? If I prick myself with something sharp, right, I'm going to feel pain, right? But my flesh is not feeling the pain. My flesh has been torn. It's not my flesh that feels pain. I only feel pain because of my spirit, the soul that is inside of my flesh. My spirit that lives inside this fleshly body is what is screaming out in pain. And that translates into me, having a jerk movement, right? If I prick myself with a knife, at some point I'm going to move out the way because, whoa, that's painful. Like, it hurts, you know what I'm saying? So you make some stupid noise, but the point is that this is the reality of our existence. We are already in the spiritual world, because everything that is done physically, like you wanted to do it, whether you wanted to do it for survival, whether you wanted to do it because of something else. Maybe you didn't need to do it to survive, but you wanted to do it to maybe strive in a different way, like, to help someone else survive, right? Giving money away to a homeless person. That's because you felt to do it. Otherwise, you don't do it, right? We always do what we feel. We cannot not do what we feel. It's not possible, dude. And if you think it's possible, you've been misled. So I'm that type of channel where I'm not just going to tell you about God and religion and Christianity and the Holy Trinity of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit and Mary was a virgin. I'm going to give you the facts behind this, because there are tangible facts. Like when you reach a certain level of intellect and intelligence that I've been cultivating it and I've been extremely disciplined, it's like God gives me these insights to be able to tell what doesn't seem to be fact as actual fact. So you can be like, wow, that's mind blowing, bro. Yeah. I even surprised myself with a lot of these things, literally in the moment. And I'm like, but I have to keep going. I can't get carried away with that, So it's, as I said, like, I don't know what else I can add on to this, but it's just literally, as I said, and as I'm repeating, it's like, everything we do in the physical, it's literally manifested as a spirit, because what we feel is deep. Feelings are deep. It's like, it's more than feelings is the soul, right? Doing is the flesh. That's all it is, it's like, and as I said, with the example of pricking yourself with a sharp object, right? You trip over, you fall, you hurt yourself. That's your spirit from within inside that's screaming. If you achieve something, great in business, and you make a lot of money in after a period of time of doing business, and your sales start to take off all of a sudden within the matter of just a few days, and you're like, wow, I've just made like a few thousand in just a few days with my business, but I've been working on it for like 6 months. And in the whole 6 months, I've been feeling like every other day I've been like, damn, I can't believe I got to do this. It's painful doing this, knowing that the results aren't here yet, but I know they'll come. I just have to stick to doing it. And it's like, but when it actually happens, then you start to feel joy. You're like, woohoo, like everything it's great, right? Like life is lighting up. But why do you think you make that noise? Because that's your spirit. That's not your flesh. Like, your flesh is the vessel for your spirit to shine through. That's why if someone is a murderer or goes to jail, or and has this dark has done these dark things, is because they feel dark, dark from within. That's spiritual. That has nothing to do with the physical. The physical is literally just a vessel to show you. It's an expose. Our physical form is literally a self-fulfilling prophecy of what we are to our core. Like, I have big muscles. I work at the gym. My muscles are getting bigger. My wing is showing. Why? Because I'm doing the exercise that would, I'm interested in that exercise enough to be able to put myself through it so I can achieve that. And then I achieve it. It's like, come on, bro. This stuff is not rocket science. Like, why are we acting like, and this is very rare information. You're only going to hear this from me on YouTube, like no one else is going to explain the spiritual in a way that makes sense like this, because I like to put in facts as well, right? And for any atheist watching this video, I hope that now that I'm concluding the video, that maybe atheism isn't the way to go. Maybe now you see there is actually a good and evil, and you need to pick a side, So I hope that this is what I achieved. I spoke extremely quickly, but to those who are intelligent, they're going to understand. And to those who aren't, rewatch the video and rewatch the video and rewatch the video over and over and over again. Because until you won't know real good and evil until you've been extremely good and then something evil happens within that good, or extremely evil and then something good happens within that evil. Then you start to see there's a difference here. Oh, there is like a black and white. And of course, gray area exists in life. Gray area because we cannot fully escape sin, but we have to do our best. That's what puts us towards the path of like glory in heaven. And when we don't do that, and we put 99.9% of what we currently know and not 100%, that's what puts us in the area of like, okay, we're not going to make it. Every day is growing, right? Even I'm figuring this out along the way. I'm not as intelligent now as I'm going to be within a year. In a year, I'll probably be able to make an update video in and around this topic and make it better. But I just hope that this really was effective and it brought you clarity that you've been looking for, because it's what I'd been looking for myself. So thank you for listening, and I appreciate you all. One love. All right.